Welcome to the interview show. This is Scott Wood, your host. We are in the bowels of the Lotus Sound Lounge. I'm with Kim Churchill. Kim, I would love it if you could explain what you've just done.
I just played with the string quartet that played on the record for the first time ever. We sort of squeezed in a quick rehearsal before we do it tonight, and it was also the first time I've ever played on stage with anybody else sort of officially being up there with me.
Yes, so I'd love it if you could explain why that's a big deal, because you typically perform on stage all by yourself.
Yeah. I've been I grew up as a solo performer, and I mean, I've always, if there's somebody else on stage, it's kind of a makeshift thing that happens in the spur of the moment. So to finally actually say we're bringing these people along and they're going to play on stage with you is kind of nerve-wracking, momentous sort of thing within my own little world.
You look pretty confident.
It felt pretty good, actually. I mean, a string section is an amazing thing to have with you. You can't help but feel awesome.
Yeah, but for people who are only hearing the music, can you describe your setup on stage?
There's a kick drum and certain electronic drums as well, like a sort of a bass sound and a snare sound as well. And that's kind of sits beneath a whole bunch of guitar lines that run to different guitar amps and bass lines again. And then there is vocals and also harmonica, which I use my harmonica on a bunch of different effects and weird things as well to sort of make sounds.
So when people see you on stage, it's you behind a contraption?
Yes. Yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff on stage these days. But, it allows me to take what I think is acoustic guitar, harmonica and vocal and really experiment with it and take it to new places and do something fresh with it, which is nice.
Comes to take her in the night, it goes on. It goes on. It goes on. As the wind blows up, you will see sing time. Let the trees bend down to the season's rhyme. It's sang about the flame in the winter time. It's a picture for the people, it's a poem for their mind. It goes on. It goes
Scott Wood, your host. I'm with Kim Churchill. We opened the show with Season's Grind, which is the lead single off your current record, Detail of Distance. I would love it if you could say a few things about that track.
It was a poem that I wrote about traveling around Canada, and especially in the winter, and being sort of introduced to weather that I'd never seen before. You know, Australia's weather is quite sort of simple and nice, and so I wrote the song about kind of handling all these you know, massive amounts of snow and rain, and in Tofino, you know, you're trying to surf and it's hailing, and there are amazing things that happen, and sort of learning to do everything that you need to do in spite of those things. And then the metaphor is that you get all kinds of people as well, just like weather, and you have to deal with it and you know, live your life around it as well. So, and it took a long time for me to actually figure out how I was going to turn it into a song, and then kind of I found this sort of, I would say, sort of rock disco kind of sound to go along with the poem, and that's how we ended up with what we had.
So Detail of Distance, on first listen, it is a lot rockier than your first record. So I was hoping you could talk about how you found your way to that a little more aggressive sound.
It would be also in the sort of general experimenting with what we've been doing live, because as the live sound gets larger, and as we start adding more of these things that you hear in the live set, it allows me to experiment more in the studio, while still having the live show be an accurate representation of my recording. So I mean, in general, I've always listened to heavier music, whatever the word heavier means. I guess I've listened to music with more electrical instruments and more distortion in it. But actually coming to be able to do that within my own solo performance has been a sort of journey, and we're finally starting to get there. It's just me experimenting, really, at the end of it all.
Cool. Well, I'm glad to see you sort of stretch and grow a little bit as an artist. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. I think it's important. I mean, you always will. I think if there was a point where you reached where you were doing the same thing over and over and over again, it would be sort of like stagnant water, you know? Like it wouldn't feel... I think as an artist, you're always pushing yourself in a direction, and if you're not moving in a direction musically, for me personally, it would lose its meaning.
You are a renowned guitarist and musician. I was reading in your bio that your dad had to bargain with you to get you to go to classical guitar lessons, and I would love you to tell that story. I think that's the greatest story.
Yeah, it was an interesting situation. Like a 7 or 8 year old really has no interest in classical guitar lessons, and I had Californication by the Red Hot Chili Peppers on CD, and that was all I wanted to play, and so I wanted an electric guitar so I could play, you know, the solo in Scar Tissue. And that was how things kind of really, that was the first time I really agreed to taking the whole classical guitar thing on, because it was a lot of work. It was 2 lessons a week and 6 hours travel once a week as well for one of the lessons, so it could be at the university, and then an exam, which was in itself nerve-wracking. And so I was, Dad said he'd buy me an electric guitar if I got over a certain mark in my exam. So it was a very good motivation.
So you're an Australian, but you have a lot of fans and connections to Canada. I was reading a headline about you today that was titled, "Kim Churchill's Love Affair with Canada Continues this Summer." Of course, talking about your tour, but I wanted to ask you this. If Canada was a girl that you were dating, how would you describe her?
Incredibly easy to get along with, I would say, before anything. How would I describe her? Somebody that I very much enjoy talking to, and kind of somebody that I'm constantly learning more and more about. I find Canada is a place that every time I come here, I see a new layer to what's actually going on. I think it's a very complex country in a lot of ways. You know, the relationship with Quebec and the sort of coming in winter was a whole different experience. You know, my first couple of times to Canada was when it was really hot, and I just had this image of green grass and beautiful trees and kind of everybody's happy in the sun. And then I came in the winter and I understand a lot more of the culture and sort of the obsession with hockey and all these kind of things. So it's definitely, Canada is, if I was dating a girl like Canada, it would be a girl that continues to mystify and amaze me over a long period of time.
Sound checks are the bane of my existence. Right now, somebody's thumping on drums upstairs.
Yeah, that's my sound guy.
Do you think he'll do it for a long time?
Yes. I don't think he's ever had a kick drum sound that was quite right. So given the time, I think he will continue to do it. Should we?
Are you brave enough to step outside? We are at the Lotus Sound Lounge.
Yes. Yes, I am.
She followed all her answers to a room lost in the sea. Now all of those chances prove not meant to be. She said, give me back the whispers that I fight the wind to hear. Give me back the labors, make me work for what I wear. And is it here and now or where we are going? Sarah, don't you know you're worth knowing? Empty out the moats overflowing, let the water run to the river where you're going. The ocean is the hand that holds onto the world within its palm. To be lost within the walls, I'm told, is the secret to its calm. She said, give me back the crashing waves and the storm I fight to flee. Make my life a struggle, it reminds me when I'm free. And is it here and now or where we are going? Sarah, don't you know you're worth knowing? Empty out the most overflowing, let the water run to the river where you're going. To the river where you're going. She said, give me back my little sphere and my home within its heart. Give me back the seasons, dear, choose not a life of calm. And is it here and now or where we are going? Sarah, don't you know you're worth knowing? Empty out the moats overflowing, let the water run to the river where you're going. Here and now or where we are going? Sarah, don't you know you're worth knowing? Empty out the moats overflowing, let the water run to the river where you're going.
Hi, my name's Kim Churchill, and you're listening to The Interview Show with Scott Wood.
All right, you're listening to The Interview Show. This is Scott Wood, your host. You've just heard Sarah by Kim Churchill. I'm standing with him on Pender Street, and I would love him to talk a little bit about that track.
It was a piece that I wrote the melody to first. When I was growing up playing classical guitar, I'd often try to write classical pieces of music, and it would never quite work. And that was, it would never quite come to fruition. It'd never be finished. You know, I'd feel like I had ideas and movements, and that was a movement that I wrote when I was maybe 15 or 16. And finally, when at 21, I found a way to actually create it into a song, and that was to sort of take it away from classical and more into a sort of a folk singer-songwriter kind of format. The lyrics I wrote about my sister, and sort of she's at an age where she's moving into the world and kind of discovering this and that and finding sort of the virtues of hard work and all of that kind of stuff. And you know, the long and short of it is it's a song sort of questioning whether to take the stairs or the elevator.
All right, so we're back. I'm Scott Wood. This is The Interview Show. I'm standing here with Kim Churchill on Pender Street, right outside the Fortune Lounge. Kim, I'm going to ask you the next question. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, your first record, With Shield and Sword, was about a sheltered Aussie from a small town named Kim Churchill. Who is he on the second record?
He is a guy that's looks back on a time when he was sheltered, and the things he's written from 3 years down the track of living out of the back of a camper van and touring constantly and sort of traveling the world. And I think he thinks he has a much better understanding of everything that's going on. And that's probably what the songs on the record are about, is the better understanding he thinks he has. Probably the next record he'll think he has a better understanding again, and he'll look back on the one that he's just done and find that it's naive as well.
You do tour a lot. You almost tour nonstop, so I was hoping you could talk a little bit about your travel habits. Do you pack light?
Yeah, pack incredibly light. I leave a lot of things behind, so when I get to Canada I already have a jacket and a pair of shoes and stuff like that, and I have sort of 3 pairs of jeans and 3 t-shirts that are essential. Basically, because there's so much equipment on stage now, when we fly, practically everything is divided into its 23 kilogram bag. And there really isn't any room for us to bring any personal stuff other than maybe hand luggage, a laptop and a couple of pairs of jeans. So you kind of learn to fold everything really, really neatly so that it packs up good. And
What's one weird item you take that people aren't going to expect?
One weird item I take. I have a rock that was given to me in Michigan that comes everywhere. I'm not sure why, but it does. It's been there for so long that I sort of thought, well, I should probably hang on to it.
Cool. For guys who tour so much, I've always wanted to ask, what's a tip for touring while sick?
Oranges. As soon as I start getting sick, I'll eat like 20 oranges in a day. And it sounds ridiculous, I know, but I find that just a complete diet. I mean, oranges and fruit in general. Bananas are great as well. And then I'll probably scull, 5 scull, is that a word over here? Chug a ridiculous amount of water, get a good night's sleep, and normally sort of things have cleared up the next day.
Wow. So when I came here today, I saw some of your entourage bring in a whole bunch of oranges.
Yeah, I'm not actually sick, but I advise people of my ways, and some of the stupider ones actually listen. Hi, my name's Kim Churchill, and you're listening to The Interview Show with Scott Wood.
You and your white coat are stained. Inject a haze in my brain. The healer boasts he's insane. Retired of the sun, hail and rain. And there's no more to your windows and the pain. I'd clip the wings, you'd leave the dead out in the rain. It's 3 a.m. and the rain is falling. It's 3 a.m. and the rain is falling. It's 3 a.m. and the rain is calling. And it's 3 a.m. and the rain is calling. Marilyn, you hold the smoke under my eyes. In this church, no so dry. Do you hear the pitch of her bent cry? Save her face for the diamond eye. Everybody's different, I guess I'll be the same. But drag me as I'm screaming, I won't rock out in the rain. And it's 3 a.m. and the rain is falling. And it's 3 a.m. and the rain is falling. It's 3 a.m. and the rain is falling. It's 3 a.m. and the rain is calling. But don't you fall. You won't come back. It's all the same. From blue to black. Wander the tracks and all that seems to gain is knowledge of the past, acceptance of the stains. It's 3 a.m. and the rain is falling. It's 3 a.m. and the rain is falling. It's 3 a.m. and the rain is calling. And it's 3 a.m. and the rain is calling.
Hi, my name's Kim Churchill, and you're listening to The Interview Show with Scott Wood.
All right, you're listening to The Interview Show. This is Scott Wood, your host. You've just heard Wander the Tracks by Kim Churchill. I've got him here with me. Kim, I'd love you to tell me a bit about that track.
That is a very interesting one. I sort of wrote it after talking to 3 particular very weird, different, interesting people that had weird, different, interesting views of the world. You know, one of them we were talking about ancient aliens and you know, the impact of the devil in music and all this kind of stuff. And one of the tracks is basically a song about sort of wandering down somebody's path and somebody's ideas and sort of allowing yourself to be taken by them to a place and really believe in it while you're talking about it, but the understanding that you can pull back and hold on to your own ideas. You know, you can wander down a path for a while without committing yourself to it.
Great. Okay, I was hoping to get a guy your age or at your stage in life to talk a little bit about what mentorship means to you, if you found a mentor, stuff like that.
Yeah, I have. I think mentorship is an interesting one for me because I find that I'm not all that interested in actually having personal relationships with the people that are mentors to me. In fact, I find that Bob Dylan is a real mentor, and I really would not like to know him personally. You know, it's sort of I like having figures that I can kind of watch from afar and because that way I find that a certain element of who they are has drawn me in, and I believe that I want to be like that, you know, and they teach me a lot by the way they handle situations. But I understand at the same time that a certain element of the person I want to be one day down the track is also within my imagination. So keeping a mentor, having my mentors as people that I don't know personally, allows me to sort of create the image of them as I see in my head, you know. It's partly based on truth, but it's also exactly what I need as a mentor within myself, and that helps me build on my own morals as well.
I was talking to your manager while I was waiting for you to sound check, and he was telling me that one of the most important jobs in a manager-artist relationship is that the artist has to keep the manager interested. So I was hoping I could get you to comment.
Yeah, I think that probably is incredibly important. I think if you have to think about it, then you're probably in trouble, you know, because I mean, if you started worrying that your manager wasn't interested, I think that would stop you from naturally just playing what you want to play, unless of course you didn't care if you were managed by your manager or not. So I think as long as I'm not thinking about whether or not my manager's interested, then we're in a healthy relationship.
All right, Kim Churchill, I've taken up enough of your time. Thank you for it. Kim has got to get back and finish his sound check.
Yes, yeah, it's been going for 2 hours and we're still going.
At the end of the show, I like to get the guests to pick a song off their current repertoire and talk a little bit about it as I bring up the music.
Okay, I'd like to choose Bathed in Black. It's one that's very close to me. I've been playing it live at shows for about 2.5 years, so it's kind of come a long way with me already, you know. It feels like a piece that's done a lot of growing alongside of myself, and you know, I like, given the opportunity, I like playing that song a lot.
Awesome. So we're going to listen to Bathed in Black by Kim Churchill. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, man. Hi, my name's Kim Churchill, and you're listening to The Interview Show with Scott Wood.
Off the ground, the sun was shining and the sky was clear, and those beautiful colors seemed to contrast my fear. Walking down a French Polynesian path, put my head in the clouds and left my heart on the ground to drag. Don't pity what's been bathed in black. Can be 6 feet down in the underground, on the sky with the birds' bright sound. Look into your mind and hope to find a home. Now 6 feet down in the underground, on the sky with the birds' bright sound. Look into your mind and hope to find a home. Now hope to find a home. Hope to find a home. Pacific sun. What you got, make sure you get. What you got, make sure you get what you want. What you want. And you can be 6 feet down in the underground, on the sky with the birds' bright sound. Look into your mind and hope to find a home. No, 6 feet down in the underground, on the sky with the birds' bright sound. Look into your mind and hope to find a home. Find a home.